Hey guys, Kendall at Black Ovis, and I'm talking boots today, specifically Crispi and the Brickstall family. The Brickstall is an interesting selection. It started out as one boot, named after a mountain, I think in Norway. It was a boot that the European market was really demanding. The guys from Crispi USA brought it into the US, and it really has just mushroomed and become, it's just ballooned and become a full family. And with this year, 2025, there are a couple changes. So I wanted to just deep dive into each one of the models in the family, how they fit, what they're like, what are the features, so that you can decide, is one of these mountain, and I would call them mountain boots, is one of these mountain hunting boots what you're looking for in a particular boot. So let's start right to left. I'll just introduce them real quick. I've got the Brickstall Mountain right here, the Brickstall EFX, which is a brand new 2025 model, the Brickstall Pro SF, the Brickstall SF, and SF is shown by the red. So over here I have the Brickstall Pro SF right there. Can't tell red from gray. And then I've got the Brickstall Pro right here. So let's just dive boot by boot, and I'll talk a little bit about each one of them. On my right, the Brickstall Mountain. This guy is a tried and true. It came out, if I'm not mistaken, in 2023. This is an absolute monster of a boot. And what I mean by that is it can do anything you want it to do. I personally use this boot on we were like 11 or 12 days in British Columbia. Some of the most rugged, toughest terrain I've ever hunted in. Just miles and miles and miles I put on this boot. One of the guys that was with me as a cameraman, he also wore this boot. He went on to wear this boot in Colorado for high country mule deer. He also wore it in Wyoming for elk hunting. He wore it the entire season. I wore mine, and I actually gave him away to one of the kids that was packing meat for that outfitter. And to be honest, I was kind of bummed, but I was trying to do a nice thing. But the Brickstall Mountain, it's a full synthetic boot. Even though it looks like leather, this is a synthetic material. The two things it actually provides is A, it dries wicked fast if it does get wet, and B, it's actually lighter weight than leather. It's got a breathable panel here. It features the EFX midsole, which is the new upgraded midsole that Crispi created a couple years ago. It's featured on the Brickstall Mountain. It's featured on the Brickstall EFX, hence the name. It's also featured on the Valdres, and it's featured on the Idaho 2. So they're slowly making its way into the entire lineup. Extremely comfortable, extremely cushioned. It provides, I think, absorption and shock impact better than the previous version, which you find on the Nevada and Guide and Hunter, etc. It's got the Crispi Mega Grip outsole, which is now starting to be replaced. I'll introduce that in 2 seconds. But the Brickstall Mountain is a 3-flex boot. It can be used, I literally think it can go anywhere, do anything. If you're in steeper terrain and you want the boot to do a little bit more work, that's where we're going to start upgrading or stepping up to the next boot in the lineup, which is the brand new 2025 Brickstall EFX. This boot, and by the way, this boot is uninsulated, this boot is uninsulated, and these boots in the Brickstall Pro have light insulation. On to the new EFX. It's a wax nubuck. It's a very nice looking leather boot. It comes in just a little bit heavier. Let's weigh this bad boy for a second. It comes in at 29.9 ounces, and the Brickstall Mountain comes in at 26. So you're like a little over 1.5 pounds, just a smidge heavier on this guy. The rand is a little bit higher rand on the Brickstall EFX. It's got some cool patterns. It's just more flashy than anything else like that. It has the ABSS in here, the same as the Mountain, same as the entire Brickstall line. So added ankle support at a 9-inch height. Looks a lot like this same guy, but it has the EFX midsole, and it has the brand new 2025 full control. Actually, it was introduced on the Valdres in 2024, but 2025 full control, brand new sole that Vibram and Crispi did as a partnership. This guy is beefcake, and I'm telling you, you can stomp over doors and logs and take names later. This sole will take you anywhere on the mountain. It is a 4-flex. So from a 3-flex up to a 4-flex, meaning it's a little bit stiffer in the flex torsionally, which is this direction. It's going to be a little bit more stiff. So in this boot versus the Mountain, you're basically saying, hey, I want the boot to do a little more work. I'm gonna be in steeper terrain. I don't want my legs, my ankles, my hips, etc., to do some of that compensating for the terrain unevenness. So the Brickstall EFS is just it's wicked comfortable. Even though it looks like, you know, that lacing system goes all the way to the toe, that it's gonna be a narrow boot, it does fit a narrow foot a little bit nicer because you can cinch that down. It's got a nice heel cup, which positions the foot ideally, but I honestly, as someone that has a slightly wider than normal foot, I've found the Brickstall family is just chef's kiss. So absolutely awesome boot, the Brickstall EFX. I am looking forward for an opportunity to hunt in this, but none of my hunts this year really require this type of a boot or this burly of a boot for my style of hunting. But if you're going out on some steep, gnarly type hunts, or you just flat out want a boot that's gonna kick tail and do a lot of that work for you, check out the Brickstall EFX to the 9-inch height. The Brickstall the Brickstall SF, this guy here, it's a 5 flex. It utilizes the same features as the Brickstall Mountains. It's got the PU Tech window on the side for added breathability, as well as on the upper versus the leather here. It's a wee bit lighter weight. This comes in, I think, at 27.2 ounces, and this is size 9. All these, I've tried to do size 8 or 9 in all these. This is a size 8. So I think in a 9, it's gonna be right pushing 27.5. ABSS, this boot in the 5 flex, I mean, it's, yeah, I feel like, is it Uncle Rico that does that? Anyway, I digress. It's a very, very stiff boot. This boot it's really cool because sometimes in other boot makers, when you want a stiffer boot, you often have to go up to a 10 or 11-inch boot. But what Crispi does is it provides like superior support, added ankle support here without going super high and getting kind of getting into the calf area. One of the things that I like about the Brickstall family is it's got a little bit more aggressive slope here. So it means you've got a 9-inch height in the front, but really you have an 8-inch height in the back where the Achilles or the back of your calf will sit. So just as you're moving into steeper terrain, and let's say this is a shaft of your leg and it's coming back like this, you're not gonna get that uncomfortable kind of pinch or kind of an odd flex point that you might find on a boot that's like flat. The Guide, if you look at the Guide or the Nevada, they're more of a flat type boot. They're a softer material, and this is pretty soft on top, but just that's an interesting feature in the Brickstall family as you look across that. Lacing all the way down the toe, it carries the Vibram midsole, dual density polyurethane midsole, and this Vibram sole, which you probably have seen on the Brickstall family in the past. This was the original Brickstall introduction, and it's also used in the other market by Vibram. So that's why Crispi is slowly going away from that, or utilizing more of a proprietary sole like the Mega Grip outsole or the Full Control, which is their new development. And by the way, I'm backing up a little bit. The Full Control has a deeper tread than the Mega Grip, and it's a little bit more aggressive. I still think from an edging standpoint, me personally, as a mountain hunter, I use the Brickstall in the regular version, the old version that's been sunsetted. I use this exact sole on a doll sheep as well as on a mountain goat hunt in Alaska, and I really do think that of all the soles that Crispi makes, I think this one has the sharpest edge. I do think it edges a little bit better. That's my own personal opinion and my own personal experience. Hopefully if you've used this boot and you think otherwise, or you think this is a better, go ahead and comment below and let us know what your thoughts are. So this is the SF. Red is always that 5 flex is what Crispi's gone to. Speaking of 5 flex, this is the Brickstall Pro SF. It's a 10-inch height right there. Comes in at 31 ounces. So this bad boy is just shy, just a little bit under, it's 31.9. So it's just a little under 2 pounds, and this is size 9. So if you're in like say 11 and a half, 12, you're rocking two lbs every foot that you take, but the trade is you're getting an absolutely like beast of a boot. This boot, so Crispi first came out with the Brickstall Pro right here, this guy. And then the immediate question came from sheep hunters and guides alike, which was, can you make this in a 5 flex? So 4 flex here, 5 flex right here, virtually the same boot. Otherwise, you've got lacing all the way down into the toe. They did reinforce the tongue area, which was a weakness initially. You've got, not a weakness, but I would say for guys that are sheep hunting in Alaska or crossing rivers and all that like little gravel and stones are coming up and then getting on here. It's just more protection what Crispi's done here in the forefoot of the Brickstall Pro. They run leather all the way up, and then the stretch nylon on the upper, where all three of these guys here, you have stretch nylon in the tongue, starting at about the third lace loop, and going up below that it's reinforced to protect it again from leaking and damage from stones and other things that might get in there. One of the things that they did improve on the Pro SF is to go all the way up to basically the turn. So all the way up to here on the tongue is leather, and then from the upper is that stretched nylon, which will add additional breathability. Has the ABSS, both of these boots, uses that Vibram dual density polyurethane midsole, and then that sole that I was talking about, which I love so much and I think is pretty rad for super steep and really technical terrain. I think it's a little narrower, me personally. Just the view of it, it looks just a little narrower to me in the throat of the boot versus like a little bit wider. And look at that heel, it's just a little bit wider in the Crispi sole that they make with Vibram versus the over-the-counter Vibram sole that they buy and put on these boots. But overall, this Brickstall family is just an absolute just beast of a boot lineup. The one thing, if I wanted to add just a pro tip, if you do buy one of these boots, one of the things you're going to want to make sure you do is clean them out regularly. And what I mean by that is because this tongue and the lacing goes all the way down to the toe, inside this little zone right here, you will get like grit and stones and cheatgrass and sage and rocks and everything else like that wants to make its way in there. And I will tell you, if you don't remove the laces, I'd say a couple times a season. I know it's a pain in the rear, but you want to take an old toothbrush, pull that stuff out, get some water in there, flush it out, because I do know, I remember talking to a couple customers, and this has been a few years, and it's one of the reasons why Crispi, we sent that feedback on to Crispi and they enhanced that. But if you do allow a lot, particularly as you're crossing glacial streams, that really fine like little rocks in those streams and the silt, it can get in there and it can just continue to kind of like burrow and just kind of bore away at that lining. And I have heard of a couple instances where guys will get the waterproofing comes out. It's super rare. I mean, thousands, and we've sold thousands of these pairs of boots. I've only heard of it a couple times, and it was the same guy sheep hunting in Alaska. So, but I would advise you, pro tip, to go ahead and go in there and clean that bad boy out a couple times a year. And then while you're at it, go ahead and cream those up if it's not this synthetic material that you find right here. So that's a rundown on the Brickstall. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope that this information is valuable to you as you're trying to assess which boot is really geared for the type of hunting I want to do. But overall, if I had to say one thing about the Brickstall family, it is designed as a mountain boot family. It can go anywhere. It can tackle most any terrain. And then honestly, in the 3 flex and potentially in the 4 flex, I've even found they're comfortable all day in even rolling terrain. And particularly this guy. I mean, I've walked up long valleys and then gone, sheer slopes and over rocks and such. So hopefully, again, like this has been worthwhile. Appreciate you checking in. Check on blackovis.com for availability on all these boots. If you have any questions, call one of our gear guides. Let's talk about boots and let's get you in the right fit for your next time.